Space.
And to you, Andrew.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Beth Ohr's Shabbat service. I think most of us are getting ready for Shabbat by finally having some dinner. Bon appetit, Denise.
Thank you, God. I'm hurrying.
Good.
Looks like we did a little power muting there.
Yeah, too much.
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
We are at a very special time of the year. This is the 8th day of Elul. This is a special month, and it's part of a soul preparation for the coming high holidays. During this month, we're supposed to prepare ourselves for Rosh Hashanah and for Yom Kippur. The name of this month is called Elul, and it has a very special reckoning because the rabbis take the letters of the month, Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed, and they create the words that are the hallmark of the emotional, I would say, burden and aspiration of this month. Ani lidodi, lidodi li. I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine. Of course, speaking really to every other that we know. The other that is our immediate partner, the other that is the divine, the other that is the neighbor that we have to wave to from a bit of a distance. Every one of us is rediscovering that I am connected to you, you are connected to me. I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine. Profound teaching for this month of Elul, and I invite the cantor to begin our Shabbat services with the singing of, what are we opening up our Shabbat service with?
Well, I thought we would open up with a little Shalom Aleichem, but I think we're going to, as a tribute to young Eli here, who did not get to go to Camp Al-Anim this summer, we're going to do the Camp Al-Anim Shalom Aleichem. It feels a little bit like riding a horse, and that's good because Camp Al-Anim has a lot of horses and was actually a good chunk of the land was a gift from James Arness, one of the greatest cowboys of all time. Well, TV cowboys. It's a little low. Hold on. We'll have to do this. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bohem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruni LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Well,
I was hoping to add a couple of yee-haws in the middle of the song, but I refrained. As everyone can see, I am at the beach this Shabbat, enjoying my own private beach with my own private palm tree and my own private set of waves that are arriving one after another. We gather for Shabbat by celebrating the Psalms that remind us that we are in the process of repairing the world. And these Psalms remind us that even in times of difficulty, in times of complexity, in times of, frankly, despair, Jews have taken the opportunity to recite the Psalms as a way of reminding themselves that there is another day ahead. So, Cantor, if you'd open up with one of the Psalms, and I assume we'll have the Psalms on the screen so everybody can follow along.
I believe that someone will be sharing the screen soon. If not, I can dive in after this one. We are going to do, if you have a copy of this wonderful Mishkan Tefillah on you, or hopefully it will be coming up pretty soon here on the screen, but we're going to go to page 12, and we are going to do Lechu Naranana, Come Let Us Sing Joyously to Adonai. Lechu Naranana, Lechu Naranana, Lechu Naranana, L'Adonai. Lechu Naranana, Lechu Naranana, Lechu Naranana, L'Adonai. Naria, Naria, Letzu Yishenu, Mekadma Fanav Betodah. Naria, Naria, Letzu Yishenu, Izmirot Naria Lo. Lechu Naranana, Lechu Naranana, Lechu Naranana, L'Adonai. Lechu Naranana, Lechu Naranana, Lechu Naranana, L'Adonai. And, well, let's see. It's entirely possible that if we take 1 second, I can also share the screen here, because I think we might have a... So let's bear with me for just one moment, and we will do that. Rabbi, I was thinking we would go to Psalm 96, Shiru L'Adonai, and I just need to find the prayer book here. And we're almost there. It's coming up. There we go. Sorry for the delay, my friends. But it's coming up here. And as a reminder, when I bring this up, you can zoom in your to these just by clicking up at the top of the screen. And there we go. Do you all see this on the screen in front of you? Wonderful. Okay. We
So
will
we've
go.
Yes.
We will
been
go.
able to sing the first psalm, and we're going now to the second psalm, Shirul Adonai Shir Chadash. Each of us is invited to sing a new song each day, which brings us into the state of wonder at the world.
Shirul Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shirul Adonai Shir Chadash. Shirul Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shirul Adonai Shir Chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shirul Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shirul Adonai Shir Chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
Thank you, Cantor. Let's move on to one more psalm. With the next psalm, if you could please.
Absolutely. And we will come down to, let's do a little Or Zarua. Little down at the bottom there. Or Zarua la tzadik uyishrei lev simcha. 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 Ul Yisrael lev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik Ul Yisrael lev simcha. Ul Yisrael lev simcha. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la ya la la. Zarua la tzadik Ul Yisrael lev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik Ul Yisrael lev simcha.
This wonderful prayer that we're about to recite of L'Chadodi reminds us that the Sabbath is a time for us to mobilize our spiritual selves. Wherever we have been during the week, this is a new Sabbath. This is a celebration of creation. It's a celebration of possibility, of hope, that by taking succor from this Sabbath, we are able to find the possibility of connecting to the deep well of spiritual resources that we have. And we're reminded that sometimes the very act of singing, of joining together, of seeing each other's faces helps us to discover the power of the Sabbath. Cantor, if you'll lead us in the
Absolutely.
verses. Yeah.
Lechan todi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelai lechan todi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabelai Shamor וזכור בדיבורך השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולעילה לך דודי לקראת קלה יללי 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 בני שבת נקבלי לך דודי לקראת קלה יללי 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 בני שבת נקבלה. Verse 2 לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת קלה יללי 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 בני שבת נקבלי לך דודי לקראת קלה יללי 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 בני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5 and התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת קלה יללי 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 בני שבת נקבלי לך דודי לקראת קלה יללי 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 בני שבת נקבלה. We're going to move to verse 9. We all rise, and my cameraman ran away, so we're going to ask the other rabbi here to pan the camera up. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Very good. Thank you so much. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'betzola toch emunei am segula boi chala boi chala lech adoni likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. One more time lechan dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
At this point, our service, we invite the cantor to lead us in the Chetzi Kaddish, which introduces the Baruch Hu. There we are. And I invite everyone that is able to rise for the Baruch Hu when cantors finish the Chetzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן. We could please rise and body your spirit for the Baruch Hu. Keep going. A little more. Thank you. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
We continue our service, which with the prayers acknowledging the orderliness of the natural order, even in a time of floods and the experiences that people are having in places like Louisiana. We understand that it is the interaction of our participation in the universe that creates the extremes that we are experiencing at this time. And we acknowledge that there is a balance to be achieved in our relationship, not only to other human beings, but to nature itself. And we invite everyone to join us in the English, the bottom of the page that's there. And if you want to enlarge the words, I think we can. You can do that on your computers. There's a there. Look at that. Okay. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alerts, alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
El Hai v'kayam, t'mid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Amari Varavim.
And we turn now to the second prayer of the Shema, Ahavat Olam. This orderliness that we spoke about in nature has its reflection in the gift of Torah, which we'll be discussing later on. One of the most pomegranate-like Torah portions of the year, Ki Tetzei, is our Torah portion. And we refer to this gift of Torah as Ahavat Olam. It is a expression of eternal love that we have in this guide.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amecha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Utanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu B'shochbenu u'b'kumenu Nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu U'v'hem negei yomam v'layla Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu U'v'hem negei yomam v'layla Ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu U'v'hem negei yomam v'layla Ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu U'v'hem negei yomam v'layla Me'ahavatecha al tasir Mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
We join together in the words of the Shema that remind us of the unity of all being. All human beings, all of being itself is united in this notion of the totality that is expressed by the Shema. And we are asked to, each and every one of us, to make sure that the Yisroel Mensch, the Pintel Yid, is connected to all of humanity and to the divine through this prayer.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We join together in the words of redemption, introduced by the celebration of the Exodus from Egypt, the end of slavery, but the beginning of a fantastic wandering that, according to some, is never completed, 40 years, but perhaps a search and a quest that goes on eternally.
Elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedav hakodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malechotecha ra'u vanecha, gokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zelianu ve'amru, zelianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
We celebrate the arrival of the evening. We celebrate the arrival of the Sabbath. First, the prayers for knowing peace and contentment, things that perhaps we didn't fully appreciate until the last 6 months of our existence. Having a sense of being able to lie down in peace, and to know that we are protected and supported.
And I'm going to invite my beloved wife to join me with this one. She's kind of on screen here. Okay. Meaning, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, le'amidenu malkeinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Thank you very much.
Ooh, very sweet. Thank you so much for sharing such a beautiful rendition of Hashkivenu.
Thank you.
We turn now to the prayers that announce the Sabbath. Tradition has it that the purpose of creation was that we would learn the art of relaxation, the art of being able to trust the world would go on for one day without our being busily involved in it. And so we're celebrating that in what is known as a brit, a covenant, that is an eternal covenant. The Sabbath is built into the idea that the world has been created and is sustained by God's presence. So we ask the cantor to sing the Shabbat.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, וביום השביעי ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We turn now to the prayer that introduces silent meditation, that introduces the three blessings that orient us daily to what it means to be connected to a universal but specific people. One of the ironies of Jewish philosophy and Jewish life is that we strive for the universal, but that it must be achieved through the particular of our own history as we search for allies and friends that understand through their own ways and own histories and customs the universal message. We pray that God open up our hearts and allow us to sing praises. Adonai sfatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Cantor.
There we go. Adonai sfatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, v'Hanora, אל עליון, גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו משני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממיד ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום, יהללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
I invite everyone to take a few moments to reflect quietly, and we'll come back together with the concluding prayer of the Amidah.
Our prayer for peace. Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Yasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Yasim le'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon, לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדום, לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Thank you, Cantor. I'm wondering if I could now have permission to take up the screen to put up the Okay, let's see if this works. Screen share. There we are. I wanted to share with you some thoughts occasioned by this week's activities in the political world. These verses spoke to me more deeply than any other. As I've said, this is a profoundly complex and beautiful Torah portion, full of contradictory and problematic things. But the most difficult part of this Torah portion is the verse that I've put up at the top of the screen. It says, "Do not despise an Edomite, because he is your brother. Do not despise the Egyptian, because you were a stranger in his land." Very powerful for us to hear, when I think many of us have experienced a frightening sense of being assaulted, I would argue, by what we've seen on television. Clearly, one of the things that I think we have to reckon with is that whether the forces that many of us are in favor of succeed in winning, or if they do not succeed in winning, we will have to live with each other. And I think the last 4 years have been a very sobering time for us, and a profound time. It's led me back to the words of very distinguished Professor James McGregor Burns, who spoke of two different kinds of leadership. One is transactional leadership, and the other is transformative leadership. And transactional leadership is exactly that. Leadership that assumes that at every turn we are not seeking some high goal, but we're seeking to meet the requests and the demands of constituents, voters, and in an era of great populism, transactional leadership is the form of leadership that we see most prevalent. And then Burns goes on to describe yet another kind of leadership, and one that I think we are yearning for, which is transformational leadership, that somehow seeks to hold all parts of the society in a sense of being respected and held as part of the loving fellowship that is supposed to be the country. This is a leadership that sometimes works to move the populace, the interests that underlie everything, to higher goals. And one of the things that McGregor Burns does in his book Leadership is to talk about at least some of the key leaders of American history, of the history of World War II, and then two key leaders, one from the India and another from South Africa. He describes these people as primarily transformational leaders. And I hope that we will retain our stand of seeking that kind of leadership. Of course, I would argue that that is the leadership first demonstrated in the leadership of Moses. This Torah portion is one of the last Torah portions before we say goodbye to the leader that had led the people for 40 years and had taken a band of slaves and transformed them into a people that was able to understand and comprehend the traditions. But before he could leave the people, he spoke the words that are at the top of our page. Do not despise an Edomite. Traditionally, for those of you that are a little rusty on who the Edomites are, the people of Edom are descended from Esau, the brother of Jacob, and they have a falling out over many years, but after 25 years, Jacob and Esau meet, and there is the fear of the meeting and the difficulty of coming face to face for Jacob with the person that he had harmed and caused so much pain, and the great soul that Esau is able to muster, and therefore the Torah is here reminding us that the two brothers were able to reconcile and discover their common brotherly origins. The second example is much more complex because it's the Egyptians in ancient times that oppressed us, that turned us into chattel, made us slaves, that cooperated in the killing of all the male children, with the exception of Moses. The Egyptians were our enemy. Yet we're to remember them, not for that time of enmity, but we're to remember them for the time when we came to their land seeking bread. And we were strangers. And the Torah sees in the role of the stranger the great test of a society that can deal with the people who are not by blood members of the society, who have different customs, who have different traditions, who come without a protective army, but who are there essentially under the protection of the divine and the willingness of people to see the divine image in the stranger. These are lessons that we need to hold on to during this political season. Naturally, my sentiments for who embodies what values are plain, but I think that here we have the proposition that no matter how you understand either of the candidates or the many candidates for other offices, the question we need to always ask ourselves, are they transactional leaders, therefore less likely to be able to have principles and values that transcend the immediate interests of people? Or are they transformative leaders that work to change and create a stronger society? I hope that in our coming season of high holidays, we will think about that question of leadership not only as a national issue or a local issue, but an issue of import to our own lives as we prepare for the transformation that we are seeking through the process of tshuva. Ken yehi ratzon. May it be God's will. Shabbat shalom.
Amen.
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 We
Yeshua.
turn to I'm going to stop sharing, and we turn to the prayers of the Aleinu. Excuse me.
And
I invite everyone to rise for the Aleinu as we acknowledge the constant hope that everyone will find in their own way, their own customs, their connection to all of humanity.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Thank you, Cantor. We offer prayers for those who are ailing, and I'd like us to move to the screen where we can see everyone's faces and take a moment. If you would like to add the name of someone you're praying for, I'm going to call your name, and if you have the name of someone that's ill, please share with us that name. So I'm going to start with Rebecca Bernstein. Polly, oh, go ahead, Rebecca.
Oh, I was just going to ask for protection of all of our postal carriers and all the essential workers out there.
Oh, yes. I've been thinking about your husband to be Albie. I don't know if he's there with you. Is he? I can't see him.
I know.
We
have no light. We're on the patio.
Hello, Rabbi.
Welcome to our service, Albie. I have been thinking about you every morning. I write a letter to a different person about the Postal Service, and I worry more about the fact that you're so exposed. You're one of the heroes, Albie. Thank you for being a part of our service. And we pray for your
thank you.
health.
Thank you.
Sherry, would you like to unmute and share a name?
Well, I do care about everybody, but I'm very concerned about Rob Block. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Polly, could you unmute and share a name of anyone that you're praying for?
My sisters, Pat Sachs and Diane Warco.
Thank you, Polly. And you have been going through some health challenges too, so we're glad that you're feeling better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Renee?
Elise Leonti.
Thank you.
Daughter.
That's your daughter?
Yes. Yes, she has
Thank
Parkinson's.
Thank you for letting us know. Well, Alan? Alan, you're going to have to unmute. Lawyer that can't be heard. Okay.
I know, that's absolutely right. Thank you so much, Rabbi, and wish everyone just safe journey through life. And I'll mention our son, Andy, and he's doing well, but I hope he continues to do well and do better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Roger Schwartz.
Two people, my friend and fellow men's group friend Michael Fine, and also my wife Mitzi.
Thank you. Thank you. Donna?
For the health of my newborn nephew, prematurely born, Jackson, 3 days old.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Lynn? Can you unmute, Lynn?
There we go. Me.
Lynn.
My arm is really healing, so me.
Good. We glad that you're doing better, Lynn. And Lonnie, would you like to share a name?
I have two names. First, my son-in-law in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, who had an emergency acute appendicitis surgery. And I hope he continues to get better and get the heck out of that hospital as soon as he can. And also, I have been remembering for 9 years now, my husband's daughter, that was my stepdaughter, Cheryl. When you hear me say Cheryl Adler, when she was 48, she contracted early onset Alzheimer's. And she's now 57 years old. And she's been in skilled nursing for 3 years. And she even survived COVID. So you wonder how that happens. But that's not a life, but I wish her peace in our world. And of course, to all the other COVID patients around the world, I wish them the best. Amen.
Linda?
Yeah, my Aunt Irene in Boston.
Thank you. Mitzi?
My husband Roger is going to have neck surgery rescheduled, so he's in my prayers. And my Aunt Pat, whom I never see, but I just always wish her a lot of peace and healing.
Thank you. Tammy?
I wish continued healing to Lynn Beliak.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very sweet. Denise?
These friends of mine, Ted Solomon, Michael Goslow, Dwight Joseph, and I recently learned of the mother of a dear friend, Sue Kofer. I wish them all well.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I want to be sure, Karen?
Thank you, Rabbi. For Suzanne Joyce, Rachel Furman, Izzy and Jane Broger.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't see the Nevinses. They may have had to drop off.
No, they're there. They're here. They're right here.
Okay, good.
Right next to me in my computer.
Okay.
We're here.
Hello, Nevinses.
Hi. I'd like to have in our prayers this evening some good friends who are my daughter and son-in-law's neighbors who have COVID, and the whole family. I think, well, 4 out of 5 of them. It's a husband and wife and 3 children.
Oh,
and the last I heard, 4 of them had COVID. So this is as of a couple of weeks ago. I think they're doing all right. I think they're doing okay. And but they're a wonderful, wonderful, lovely family that my daughter shares Shabbats with very frequently. And also, I'd like to remember the young man who was just shot in the back and is in Kenosha, that's in the hospital, now paralyzed. And good prayers go out to him.
Blake.
Thank you. Claudia?
Al Westenberger.
Thank you. I don't mean to slight anybody, but I think the next person is the cantor. Before the cantor, is there somebody that I missed? Cantor, would you like to share names, please?
Sure. I will add, as I often do, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, my mom, Ellen, my little sister, Anna, and Rabbi Steve Robbins.
Let me add that my daughter-in-law, my brother is a grandfather again, and my niece and nephew are proud parents, and of course, for the healing of our niece Elizabeth. They now make up a family of 4 children, 2 parents, 2 girls, 2 boys. Perfect. And if I was a little crazy, I would share with you the pictures. They're just wonderful. Seeing all the kids taking turns holding their new brother. And of course, I want to add prayers for Lynn, who's been struggling with this broken elbow and her healing. And want to add the many patients that I visit each week that are on hospice and their struggles as well. We invite the Cantor to recite the Mishaberach for the healing of all of our friends.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imotenu Mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Thank you, Cantor. I'm going to ask the Cantor to look at the prayer book for the Psalm 27, which is recited during this month of Elul, and going to introduce at this time the Kaddish, and invite members of our congregation who are reciting Kaddish to do so. I have the distinct pleasure of remembering one of my uncles, Uncle Paul Silver, who taught me the most important lesson in Jewish life, which was Vusken Metin Melepten Golas. It was his answer to all problems when he would say, what can we do? We live in exile. He was not exactly passive, but he was acknowledging that the world was not yet perfected. So I remember his Yortzeit at this time, and I remember him very fondly. And I'd like to invite other people who have a Yortzeit or a name of a person they'd like to share. Lynn?
My brother, Marty, it's now been 22 years. And also a friend, Bonnie Drucker, and also a friend who passed away somewhat recently, whose name is Rita.
Just would like to highlight Rabbi Marty Balanoff was a very important part of the Hillel community for many years. He was the Hillel rabbi at Berkeley, California. Other names for the yahrzeit list?
I'd like to name my mother, Judith Jacobson. She died exactly 1 month ago yesterday.
So this is the Shloshim.
And yeah, last
Thank you.
day.
Thank you. I think
My friend,
Go
my
ahead.
friend Gary Wells passed away a few weeks ago.
Thank you. Other names? I don't think it's inappropriate to say that.
Lee Larson.
Yes. Who else?
Lee Larson.
Lee Larson. Okay. Who said that name? I'm sorry. Tammy. Thank you.
No, it was Tammy. Oh.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to just say a word about Judith Jacobson. The response of her family to her loss was, I was in the middle of helping a friend in Poland who was the former chair of our Beit Polska, the progressive movement. And he said, we need to clean up the Tarchin cemetery. And it coincided exactly with the passing of Judith Jacobson. And I mentioned it to Mitzi, and they contributed for the cleaning up of the cemetery. Basically, in Poland, things grow, the weeds and everything. It's a town where there are no survivors. We know of no one in the States that's from Tarchin. And so it's a great mitzvah to take on the responsibility of maintaining that cemetery. And the great act of tzedakah that was done in Judy Jacobson's memory makes a difference. One of the things that I believe contributes to greater understanding of Jewish life is that we are proud enough to take care of the cemeteries in Poland. And I think that it sent the wrong message when there was 30, 40, 50 years of indifference. If the Jews who live elsewhere in the world don't care about the cemeteries, why should we Poles? I think that equation has begun to shift as not only Poles who have been the main movers in taking care of the cemeteries, but also Jewish Poles and people from outside have begun to address cleaning up these cemeteries and making them dignified places. So just a thank you to the memory of Judith Jacobson and to her family. We're going to recite the Kaddish, and I invite everyone who is able to rise and recite Kaddish. Yitgadal, v'yitgadash, Yomo Yivro Yirotei, Yamlich Machutei, L'chayechon Ivnechon, Chaye L'chol Beit Yisrael, Bagala V'zman Karim, Ru Amen. Yehi Shmei Mevarach Le'olam U'mei Olmaya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach Yitbar, Yitronam V'yitnaseh, V'tadar V'ta'ar V'talal, Shmei L'kulishtar Yichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram v'yalma v'imru Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba min Shamayim, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens make peace for all who mourn. And may we, in remembering people that we love, learn the lessons of their life and bring them into our lives, thus giving them a presence in the land of the living. Amen. Cantor, I'm hoping that you were, yay, thank you. It is customary to recite during the month of Elul this Psalm 27. You'll notice that it was found in a source called Sefaria, which is an open source in Hebrew and in English of so much Jewish legend, lore. It's well organized, and I invite you to look at it. But I'd like us to recite the first several verses of this psalm. It's actually supposed to accompany us each morning and each evening during this month of Elul. So you might want to bookmark it as part of your spiritual practice. Let's begin reciting it together in English. A Song of David. The Eternal is my light and my help. Whom shall I fear? The Eternal is the stronghold of my life. Whom should I dread? When evil people assail me to devour my flesh, it is they, my foes and my enemies, who stumble and fall. Should an army besiege me, my heart would have no fear. Should war beset me, still I would be confident. One thing I ask of the Eternal, only that do I seek, to live in the house of the Eternal all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Eternal, to frequent God's temple. God will shelter me in God's pavilion on an evil day. Grant me the protection of God's tent. Raise me high upon a rock. Now my head high over my enemies round about. I sacrifice in God's tent with shouts of joy and singing and chanting a hymn to the Eternal. Hear, O Eternal, when I cry aloud, have mercy on me, answer me. On your behalf, my heart says, seek my face, O Eternal, I seek your face. Do not hide your face from me. Do not thrust aside your servant in anger. You have ever been my help. Do not forsake me. Do not abandon me, O God, my deliverer. Though my father and mother abandon me, the Eternal will take me in. Show me your way, O Eternal, and lead me on a level path because of my watchful foes. Do not subject me to the will of my foes, for false witnesses and unjust accusers have appeared against me. Had I not the assurance that I would enjoy the goodness of the Eternal in the land of the living. Look to the Lord, be strong and of good courage. O look to the Eternal. Kaveh el Adonai chazak v'ya'ametz libecha v'kaveh el Adonai. Thank you for finding that for us, Cantor, and we invite you to sing a song to send us on our way for this Sabbath.
Absolutely. Well, Rabbi, I will hearken back to what you were saying about the month of Elul being in part a reference to Ani Ladodi V'Dodi Li. So this is Stephen Schur's Dodi Li that some of us first heard by that group of Hasidic Jews known as Peter, Paul, and Mary. Dodi li vani lo haroe bashoshanim dodi li vani lo haroe bashoshanim dodi li mizot ola min hamidbar mizot ola min במדבר, מקוטרת מור לבונה, מור לבונה, דודי לי, דודי לי, ואני לא הרואה השושנים, דודי לי, בשושנים, דודי לי.
Before we part, I wanted to invite our chairperson, who Sue Nevins and Karen have been working so hard this week, as they do a lot, but this week in particular, to prepare for the high holidays. A beautiful ad appeared in the Jewish Journal announcing our high holidays. And I wonder if there's some reminders and announcements.
Yes, there are. First thing, look in your mailboxes soon, your email boxes. I will be sending out, I hope, if I have strength tonight, probably tomorrow, our High Holy Days announcement letter. It's got a letter, it's got schedule, it's got how to buy tickets. It's been interesting this year because it's actually, although we'll all be at home, it's been more work. You know, what are the rules of the game? So Sue, that's what Sue and I have been working on, and we hope every one of you will be there. And since we're going to be online, you know, bring your friends and your family wherever they are, as long as they're willing to either get up early or stay up late. So that should be great. And we are starting in 2 days. This Sunday, August 30th at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time will be a brief shofar lesson with Rabbi Haim. This should be great fun. Haim, it sounds like you have enough grandchildren and nieces and nephews to crowd the classroom. And I know that Sue Nevins and Joel Nevins, two grandchildren, will be there. So if you have other children, grandchildren, have them join, but let us know, because there will be a password that I will mail you.
And I have to say, it's for adults too. And Joel's going to be there trying to learn how to play the shofar.
Oh, and look what Rabbi Shana has in her hand.
Shana's got hers.
Could you put it maybe horizontally in front of Andy? There we go. Oh, much better. We can really see it. That's amazing.
Beautiful.
That will take a
So
while.
those of you that show up will be taught not only the traditional shofar notes, but we will play the recent favorite, One Note Johnny, on the shofar. And we'll play it according to the jazz rhythms that are appropriate. So especially Joel, I want you to do your calisthenics to good. All right. And if you don't have a shofar, I'm sure that in some neighborhoods where you live, there are people who could lend you a shofar. I have an extra one if somebody's on the west side that I'd be happy to lend. So look forward to seeing you Sunday at 4:30.
Absolutely.
We have a couple of extra shofarot in case anyone needs to borrow a shofar. We have 2 extras.
Good. Other announcements?
There are, even before the High Holy Days, I'll just mention, I believe I mentioned it in the email about tonight's service, but just to repeat, we are going to, after the shofar service, our next event, 2 things on September 12th, Saturday. So we will be having, that will be our next Torah study class. And then that evening, we will be doing Slichot at 7:15, combined with a Havdalah service. So that's somewhere about where sunset will be. So we'll sort of be on time. So I think that's going to be really special. And Beth Ohr has not done that before. So I'm really looking forward to having that as part of our High Holy Days. And that's it.
Those of you who have been interested or may have read already Brothers Ashkenazi, the concluding discussion of it in the Yiddish group now calling itself the Schmoozers will be 6 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. If you'd like to join, let me know and we'll get you a link.
That's Yiddish reading group, but in English, not in Yiddish.
Right, yes. So we'll have a word or two. I want to wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom. And I'm not rushing off, so if people want to stay around and talk a little bit, but we've concluded our service and we're very happy that all of you joined us. Thank you.
And if you could all join me in waving goodbye to our friends on YouTube, we'll end the stream. So goodbye, YouTube. It's been fun. Please watch again. Please subscribe. Watch it over and over. Enjoy and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.